Welcome to another episode of the PHNX Mercury podcast. You got Shane and Sean dancing in the background.
Moving out.
They're vibing. The Merc have been vibing.
Yeah.
Winners
Maybe it's contagious.
Winners of 3 of their last 4. Some historical happenings, obviously, in this homestand, before last night going to Seattle. But, I mean, overall, you got to be happy with where this team is at and how they've played basketball this last week and a half.
Man, they look so like it's literally night and day. But that's been the Mercury all season. Yeah. It's been some games they look like the best team in the league. Some games they don't, or quarters, I should say. Some quarters they look like the best team in basketball, and other quarters they look like they don't even belong in the JV game.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it's fun to see everybody coming together. Everybody's healthy. Yeah. There's a lot of consistency within the lineup too, which has been awesome to see. Obviously, DT has been unbelievable during this stretch, averaging, just over 25 points through these 4 games. And I mean, it seems like she just finds a way to find the fountain of youth. I don't know where she gets it from. I don't know if she's drinking MJ's, secret stuff. I don't know what it is. But
MJ never had secret stuff. Book had secret stuff.
Oh, okay.
So maybe she's drinking some of that, but
maybe.
I don't know, man. She's been balling, obviously. 45 points in the quarter.
Yeah.
The other night, that was phenomenal. Like against the Connecticut Sun in that first quarter, like that's. I don't know what's happened to this team. And last night, yeah, they had to slip up against Seattle. But even then, Sophie Cunningham goes crazy. They have 16. They're down by 16 and come all the way back in that third quarter. Like they made a run. They made it a game. It was a tie game at one point. Like they had a chance to win that game.
Yeah, and again, a lot of it just goes. I think it all goes back to Nikki Blue not starting the season as head coach because, they played 12 games with Vanessa Nygaard. They didn't play those 12 games with Nikki Blue, so they still have a lot of catching up to do in terms of running sets offensively and defensively. Calling out plays like, okay, if I call out a play, who knows what I'm saying, right? Mm-hmm. And you can see it. It works sometimes, especially with Diana. She's just got that basketball IQ. And she's able to sort of translate it for everybody. But it's sort of trial and error. It is really fun, though. I mean, that, they won 3 of their 4 games at home, which was awesome. But, man, those Seattle woes just continue. And quite ironic because last season Phoenix swept them in all 4 games. And this season they got swept.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you mentioned the inconsistency. Mm-hmm. The inconsistency has been a very, very big thing.
Yes.
Let's go back to that Connecticut game, for instance. Okay, 45 points, WNBA record in the first quarter, an anemic 7 points in the second quarter. Like that swing of is just almost unfathomable. Mm-hmm. Like when you're on a heater, you can adjust things. And maintain that heat to a certain level, but to go from fiery hot to icy cold, is just I can't even understand it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the crazy thing is I was looking, at the stats for the quarter. They only shot the ball 6 or 7 times, but man, Connecticut, I always like to give credit where credit is due, but they just guarded BG in single coverage like the entire first quarter. They just allowed her to dominate one-on-one. Mm-hmm. And they were playing zone. They were doubling every single time somebody got the ball. It was just a lot of careless turnovers, to be honest with you. And it wasn't even like, they were just missing a bunch of shots. It was just that they didn't have an opportunity to get the offense actually set. Yeah. Because literally the moment they would cross half court, okay, someone's on your hip, right? If what Connecticut loved to do is that, for example, Diana would get a screen. I mean, because Diana had 7 turnovers in this game. She would get a screen from BG and they would trap immediately. Mm-hmm. And they would basically just hound the ball. Or if BG caught the ball, they would just hound her. Mm-hmm. And they did that with every single player. And some players, for example, like a Sophie Cunningham, she's working on her handle, but it's not at the level of like a Moriah Jefferson or a Diana Taurasi. And so they took full advantage of that.
Yeah. And that's the second quarter that I know they wish they could just forget.
Yeah.
Luckily it didn't carry over I mean, they've scored 90+ points in every single home game.
Yeah.
And they played good basketball. And last night they were competitive and they were right back into it. And so, yeah, the Seattle stuff, you wish you could forget it. I talked about forgetting the second stuff. You can forget things if you just take OGs sometimes, because sometimes you just want to just lay back and just forget what happened during the day because it was so stressful, right? OG's brand's one of the best edibles in the game. It'll calm you down. It'll relax you. It'll make you feel good. Point blank, that's just what it is. It's you can digest some of the fruits, which are fantastic. They have flavors from like red apple and such, to their creams, strawberries and creams, orange and creams, stuff like that. So they got a whole blend of different flavors. They got the RSOs, they got the Happy Balance, like just tremendous edible, made from scratch and sent strictly to your closest dispensary. And you can find your closest dispensary at ogsbrands.com. Today. And remember, you must be 21 years of age or older to enjoy. Another place you might want to enjoy is the Four Peaks Tap Room, which is a phenomenal place to go. The food is impeccable. A constant changing of the menu seasonally. So we're about to get into the fall flavors, which are going to be fantastic. One of my favorites. So check them out. Go to the Four Peaks Tap Room. They also have some of the greatest, not scratch. What am I thinking? Beverages, not tap. Come on. Craft beer. There we go. I knew I was going to remember. They have some of the finest craft beer in the game. Sometimes I get a little, I don't even know what the hell I'm saying sometimes. So craft beer, there you go. Check them out at Four Peaks. You can also follow them on Twitter and on Instagram by going to Four Peaks Brew at Four Peaks Brew. They're, again, tremendous beer beverage company. You can check them out. You must be over the age of 21 to enjoy, and please enjoy responsibly. Okay, so we move on from that.
Beautiful ad read, by the way.
I feel like everything has just been stumbling for me today. Listen, you have it here as the title: Mo Money, Mo Problems. Okay. And I assume you want to talk about the one, the only Moriah Jefferson.
Yes.
So let's talk about her.
Let's talk about Gino Auriemma's favorite player ever.
Yes. Okay. So she's averaging 15.3 points, 4.3 assists, and she's shooting just under 64% from the field at 63.9. She's also averaging over 2+ steals during that stretch. And this stretch was
it was during the 4-game.
During the 4-game home stretch. Gotcha. Yes. All right, so everybody was playing at a high level. Moriah Jefferson on how the team stayed consistent through their polar opposites.
Yeah, you're missing that many shots. Actually, it wasn't even that we missed that many shots. We just didn't execute to get shots up. So, yeah, we took 6 shots. And we have to do a better job, and that starts with me, of making sure that we're getting plays that are going to execute, get BG some touches in the paint, some easy buckets, get to the free throw line. But other than that, I mean, like Coach said, we stayed resilient. We kept playing. Easily we could have went down after that, but we didn't. We came together, and I think we got better tonight.
Well, Moriah's been balling, but you said more money, more problems. What does that mean?
Yeah, when she's playing at a high level like this, when she's able to score the ball like this, it adds another depth to the offense, because obviously, you have BG, you have DT, you have Sophie when she's on. But when Moriah's consistent like this, especially from not even just as a scorer, but just being so efficient, like she scored 15 points and 17 points against Washington and Connecticut, only shooting the ball 9 times. Efficiency is key. She's never been, in her career, she's never been a big volume shooter. She's always been, she's averaged, I believe, like about 40% from 3 for her career. But it hasn't been, averaging 7 or 8 attempts a game, like a Diana Taurasi. It's, I'm averaging 2 attempts a game, but I'm making almost 1. Or I'm averaging 3 attempts, but I'm making over 1. And so her efficiency, it adds up, because it's like, okay, you don't have to get her the ball that much. But if she's open, and she's been getting open a lot more, which has been awesome, especially on those wings. No, she's a reliable threat from 3, and she's just quicker than everybody.
Yeah.
And she has this one patented move. Actually, she's got 2, but she'll take it and she'll dribble left and she'll stop on a dime and literally do a turnaround jump shot like about free throw range. It just drills it. Another one which I love is if she has a forward on her, literally all she will do is she'll drive, she'll cross over, she'll cross back over and just shoot it. But she loves her middies. She's always been great from the free throw line, and she really has an inside out game, but she just beats everybody with her quickness. She's not the one to take a lot of contact, obviously because of her frame, but she really uses that to her advantage because teams will back off. Teams will say, "Listen, like we know if we reach, and she will teach. Yeah. She will go right by you and score." So defenses have to play a little bit of cushion. Mm-hmm. And then if everybody else gets going, okay, let's get the ball to her because she's wide open and she's got no problem with shooting it. Yeah.
Listen, that's. I mean, she's playing at a high level right now. You know, one of the better guards in the W right now in terms of how she's been playing the last 4 games for sure. You look for that to continue, and as it continues, Hayden, we are coming dangerously close to relevance again.
I know.
And I don't know what to think or feel about it. We're talking about a team that's now 3 games out of a playoff spot. Mm-hmm. It's something that I didn't think we would ever come close to saying this year.
Yeah.
My friend, our tanking for Caitlin is
it's dying.
It's on the ropes.
Yeah.
It's on the ropes. It feels like this team is not going to let up. They're not going to let us have what we want.
I know.
Which isn't the worst thing in the world.
I know.
So how are we feeling about any of this?
It's winning basketball. They're playing winning basketball. It goes back to my point earlier of had Nikki Blue been there since the season started, the team would probably be in the playoff race. They would probably have at least a 7 or 8 seed right now, in my honest opinion. Because if they went 2-10, if they were just to go 6-6, and they've gone, I want to say, what's their record? So they've gone 7-10. So if you were to add that up, that'd be 13-20. And if I can pull up my standings here, they would be above Chicago. They would be at that 7 seed. Or actually, no, technically they would be at that 8 seed. But like that's huge, man. It really is. And Coach Blue has talked about it all the time. Like, we're not going to let up. And people have asked, including myself, like, have you thought about like what you're going to do for the next month of the season? Like,
go for it.
Because you're in that.
You got to go for it.
Yeah, like you're in that in-between area. And she's like, listen, obviously we're thinking about it, but all the players are like, we're just trying to play with each other. And we're finally getting a rhythm. And why would we stop now? And
a little under the month left. A little under a month left. And they have about 11 games left on the schedule.
Exactly.
And so you would think, I mean, they got to finish off hot.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at something like, I think a baseline of 7-4.
Luckily, their next 2 games are at home, but they do play the New York Liberty, who, no disrespect to Las Vegas, they probably have the best offense in the W.
Okay.
I would say, because you know what you're getting with Vegas, but New York can score 100 points any given night. That's the thing, and they can. I mean, Breonna Stewart, yesterday had a 40-piece. As that she's the first player ever with 3 40-point games in a season. Like, but you play the Liberty, you play the Fever. The Fever's one of those teams where, they might get the first pick or they might get the second pick, but they're gonna play hard. Phoenix plays the Sparks. This is why it's interesting, because the Sparks right now, if I can find it, they're at the 9 seed, but they need to split the series. Because they lost 2 to LA. They beat them once back in July, and this would be huge because I think again, I'm not a math person, so don't people that are watching don't judge, but if the Sparks beat the Sky if they beat the Sky like in their season series, mm-hmm. and then if the Mercury tie, but if the Mercury have a better record than Chicago, therefore LA could leap into that 7 or 8 spot, and then so could Phoenix. So there's here's the time for a lot of, probability, a lot of percentages, stuff of that sort. But like you said, they got to win big, and they're not playing, they're playing teams that are in the hunt, that are in the thick of it. They're not playing a New York or Vegas consistently. Actually, no, that's a lie. They are playing in Vegas twice at the end of the season.
Twice
Damn
at the end of the season?
Yes.
So they're
on a back-to-back.
Oh.
Yeah, they play them at home.
So basically, the Merc need to go like 8-1 or like
then you go like
7-2 down this last 9-game stretch, because you don't want to have to win either one of those games at the end of the season against the Vegas against the Aces, because that's a tall task.
I know, but part of me might also feel one of two things could happen. One, they could have their starters play for 20 minutes.
True.
And then because like if they're going to have that 1 seed locked up, they might as well. But I could also see them being so kind of snobby and saying, let's break the streak of 10 plus years of having them make the playoffs. Let's play our starters and let's kind of. I don't know why my phone is ringing. Oops. Whoops. Sorry about that. I guess I'm stumbling.
Before the show starts, I asked that all people turn off their cell phones.
You didn't ask me that. I don't want to hear it. Damn it.
Well, maybe that was Coach Blue calling you saying, "Hey, Saul is right. They don't want to see Vegas in the last 2 games of the season for something to play for." So, but on the flip side of that, if you're hoping that the Mercury are going to tank, you could just hope that they tank until the end, and guess what? The Aces will probably finish them off. So, listen, you never know how these things are going to go, but they have a good opportunity here ahead of them. And listen, they could very well, the way they've been playing, they could upset the Liberty.
They could.
It could be one of those things where that could propel them down the stretch. And again, if you can get 5 or 6 games out of the next 6 or 7, you're going to feel pretty good. And all you need is hope. Yeah. All you need is hope. And right now, the Mercury have a sliver of hope remaining in their season, and they've got to take advantage of it based off of, how awful they started the season.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the teams that they're playing too, they've played a handful of times. Like they've played LA already, like a bunch. They've played Dallas a bunch, and they played Dallas really when Vanessa Nygaard was still there. Oh, I guess there's more beeping. Maybe it's not just me.
Okay, cool.
They play Connecticut again, which, knock on wood, they seem to have their number this season. And then, they play Washington again. They play Minnesota, who's sneaky good. Mm-hmm. Minnesota's a sleeper for me once the playoffs come around, because they'll be in it. And then obviously, you play Atlanta, and then, you have Las Vegas. But hey, you have a good chunk of games at home. They play the Liberty at home. They play the Fever at home. They play the Wings at home. They play the Mystics at home, and then they play Las Vegas. But they're winnable games. Yeah. They really are. And it's like, if you're going to make a push, if they can beat New York, I think they're going to go in with the mentality of, if we can beat them, we can beat anybody.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, if you want to continue this great coverage by my guy Hayden,
you're too kind. You
got to become a diehard and read his articles by becoming a diehard at gophnx.com. It's listen, we're here for you. We're here for the Valley. We're here for community. We're here to build this fan base up. Because we kind of feel like we're like the 7th team here in the Valley. Let's go. Let's do this. We're all here together. Yeah. We want to represent the X Factor. We want to go to these games and cheer on our favorite teams. And you could do that alongside with all the bountiful information and content you could ever ask for. Plus, we're going to give you a free shirt for it. And you get discounts on all our other merch. And you get discounts on our events. And we give you free shit all the time. Like, dude, I don't know what else you want from us. Let's go. Become a PHNX diehard today. By going to gophnx.com and becoming a diehard.
And listen, we might have a takeover soon. Right?
We might have a takeover. We got to see how many people would be interested in a takeover. We have a handful of people.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly though, like it feels like every Mercury game is kind of a takeover anyway, because we all sit together. We all see each other all the time. Like I'm sitting with Chris all the time. And, I got a bunch of other people, Christina and all, they're always at the same game. So yeah, Mark,
yes.
You know what I mean? So
Mark's a G. That's my dog. Shout out Mark. Shout out Chris too. Shout out Christina. Shout out all of them.
It's all fun. It's all fun and games. What has not been fun at games, and Hayden, I'm going to throw a curveball at you because this is something we have to talk about.
Okay.
Because we did not talk about it last week.
I know it isn't going to be.
Yeah. So, Skylar, not too happy, threw the team under the proverbial bus by saying that they were not allowing her access to work out at the facility They were not exactly the best operation when it comes to her being, in maternity leave and things of that nature. Clearly, you're dealing with a player that's disgruntled about her situation. You've seen the workout videos. She's getting back in shape. She looks like she's pretty close to going full go. But this is a situation to monitor. You've got sources. You've been on the inside, and this is just a really unfortunate situation and how this is all unfolded. I'm not going to speak to the inside details because I don't know the inside details, and unless you're really behind those walls and understand, and you're hearing it first person from viable sources, it's pretty hard to speculate on something like this. But I could probably gather that a lot of people out there that love this X Factor don't want to see they don't want to see this go down the way it's going down.
You said it best. I can't say too much on it because like you said, I'm not behind those doors in terms of management. But it's not a good look at all. And this has nothing to do with contract stuff. This has nothing to do with, with her really being disgruntled. This is just kind of a human thing. Yeah. This is like, listen, like teams around the league, like they even put it in the new CBA regarding like maternity leave and how, they're able to get paid their full salary and how, they have, facilities, for example, like if the mother brings her child and, she needs to breastfeed, they have a station for that. They are able to use a facility to work out, to get back in shape. And again, I don't know too much about it other than the speculation. And I'm a bit skeptical, and here's why. Because Phoenix has always been a top tier organization, especially for women's basketball. I mean, they're one of the original, I mean, they boast about it too. Like, we're one of the original WNBA franchises. So like there's
not a lot of them left.
Yeah. Like they have a lot of credibility, and, but this also isn't the first time that Skylar Diggins-Smith has been upset about a situation.
Sure.
And, and taking things over the top. Yeah. And so this is the final year of her contract. In my humble opinion, I don't see her re-signing. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
And you're kind of at a crossroads if you're management, because it's like, theoretically, you would want to trade her so you could at least get something, but she's on maternity leave, and that's going to make you look really bad as an organization if you do. Because at first I was like, and I just kind of blame this on me being naive, like, well, you could at least just trade her and get something. But I'm like, from a human point of view, that's not great. That's not right.
Yeah, it's not right. But listen, I'll say this from my perspective. I don't know what Skylar's past dealings were with the Mercury and the organization. I have heard nothing but great things about the Mercury, but again, I'm not behind those walls. I don't know people's true colors when nobody's around. But what I will say is that Matt Ishbia has been very adamant about treating the Mercury in the same context as treating the Suns. He does not make any bones that he wants both organizations to win championships. And I would be shocked if relations with players were not at an all-time high in terms of the care that they get from Ishbia's side. I would be stunned if that was the case. But again, I'm not behind those doors. And we all know employees, players, however you want to phrase them, that work for organizations from time to time, things will happen that just don't sit well with those people. And whether that's a 100% fact of a wrong in one way or the other is debatable depending on what your situation you're talking about. But I think it definitely is not a good look for this to come out from Skylar in regards to maternity leave and taking care of a child and, motherhood in general. It's not a good look for the Mercury. I don't know what the best way to handle this is in terms of how they would come out. They've never come out and made a statement, nor do I expect them to. But it's a tough look overall. And hopefully if the Mercury were wrong in this whole endeavor, they find a way to try to mend fences and realize those wrongs. If they're not, they'll move forward and they won't say anything.
Yeah,
So it's just one of those things. So
it's sad too, real quick, just because like this is the second incident this season, not with the Mercury, but that someone has been denied essentially basic needs because of a pregnancy. Like De'Erica Hamby, who's now with the Sparks. She actually, I believe she was signing a contract, and she signed it while she was pregnant after the season, and basically Las Vegas. I'll send you the article a little bit later, but it basically detailed about how like Vegas was like, oh well, you're not going to be ready. You're not going to, and basically like telling her all this stuff about like, she can't have access. She can't do this. She can't do that because she's going to have a child. And they basically weren't going to play her. That was what they said. Like, we're not going to play you because you're not going to be ready in time to have a child, even though she did. Even though she actually, I think she had her baby, I want to say in early March, and she came back within 2 months. But there was a big bombshell that dropped, and Becky Hammond was suspended a game, and the Aces organization was fined. Mm-hmm. And so I hope that an event like this for Phoenix is just a one-off. I hope that it's possibly Skylar Diggins-Smith just overreacting and kind of, just expressing her displeasure with the organization. I hope it's not anything bigger.
You would love in a perfect world for these athletes to get treated with the utmost care and respect, mm-hmm. especially for women who are in more unique situations than men are in regards to pregnancy and life. And so hopefully, I know the new CBA corrected some of those wrongs, but not all of them. Mm-hmm. And there's still more to be said about that. We do have a question in the chat. Chantel Kimberger says, why do you think they're so bad on the road? Well, I'll tell you why.
Go for it.
It's because they just lose all sense of where they're at half the damn time. I don't understand what it is, if it's crowd noise or what, but they just genuinely seem like they're discombobulated. And I think they're starting to get a little bit better about it. You started to see that the other night in Seattle. I hope that they're able to right that wrong sooner than later, because I feel like you have too many veterans on that team that have been there, done that. Mm-hmm. And so I couldn't tell you why. A lot of teams don't play well on the road. That's just one of those things. The Mercury plays so well at home. It's a mental thing, I guess. That's probably the best place I can take it.
Yeah, I'll echo off your point. When you go from playing in front of a crowd of 7,000-8,000 people a night, that legit every night I'm at the game, like every game that they have, my Apple Watch tells me like, hey, it's getting too loud in here.
Yeah,
it's hitting over 90 decibels. Like you got to actually like go and and relax. And so when you go from that environment, because places like Atlanta, they only have a 2,000 seat venue.
Yeah,
like Washington, I think is about like 4,500, and so you miss that size. Obviously, like they don't travel very well, just because it's expensive. It's expensive to travel. W games are surprisingly pricey. I can attest to that from when my buddy and I went to a WNBA game in New York. Maybe that was because it was New York. I don't know. But you go from playing.
You could have got a credential, but
whatever. I did, but parking. Stupid New York. Anyways, you go from playing in front of a crowd that has your back all 4 quarters to a crowd that's not. But you said it best, though. You've got too many veterans, especially Diana, Brittany Griner, players that have won titles. And you could even throw in Sophie in the mix. She's been to a WNBA finals. And maybe some of it just has to do with the synergy with, okay, like if we make a mistake, people are clapping for us. It could also be because, BG's on the road, and a lot of the teams, did like a sort of not memorial, but like a tribute almost, like to like welcome home BG. Mm-hmm. That can throw some players off, but we're at the point in the season now where you're playing teams 2, 3, 4 times.
Yeah, it shouldn't matter now.
Yeah, it really shouldn't matter.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, that's Hayden. You can follow him at Hayden_silly or Hayden Silly.
Just Hayden Silly.
Damn it.
I'm
I
thinking
always get that
about
wrong.
changing the handle though to just Silly. It might be good marketing.
That would be
grab.
pretty silly. You should. So at Hayden Silly,
that was pretty solid.
You can follow me at Saul_Bookman. You can also follow the show at PHNX_Mercury. We'll be here next week, same bat time, same bat channel, for more Mercury goodness. Hopefully they can win a couple games before we come back, and we're talking about the potential for a playoff berth. That would be awesome.
That would be.
So until next time, folks, we'll see you.